Hey, welcome everybody. Today I want to show you guys how I made a stamp with both PLA and TPU multi-material project. So let me take you through my workflow real quick. So this is FreeCAD. I use FreeCAD for my CAD modeling and making a model in general. And this is what we're envisioning. This is going to be our handle, which is going to be printed in PLA, basic PLA. And then our stamp, which itself is going to be TPU. And then we'll have some sort of cross-linking between them so that they don't fall apart, okay? And I'll take you through all these steps. So let's first design a stamp. So my workflow is basically a fishbone. Now, if you're wondering what a fishbone is way medical staff writes down laboratory values. So when they're rounding on patients in the hospital, they will write certain lab values, and there are multiple different ways you can draw these fish bones depending on what type of laboratory values you want to write. Most common one is these two. One is for the chemistry, which tells you how much sodium, potassium, glucose. And the other one is for blood work or CBC, where they tell you, if they have signs of infection, how much hemoglobin do they have, and how many platelets do they have. So these two. So I envision I'm going to have two sides of CBC and chemistry fish bones. One where they can write the values for today, and the one where they can values from yesterday, so they can see if the trend is going up, staying stable, or trend is going down. Okay, that is the problem. That is the envision. Now so you can see there are a lot of constraints to make this feasible. But basically you want to draw something that has a little bit of width to it. So in this case, the distance between these 2 points is roughly 1.2 millimeters. And I think that's going to be ideal for our project. Now, once you've done that, you can go ahead and extrude. So this is what I've done. I've extruded the stamp material. And then obviously I have created a base, which is this rectangle here where the stamp material is going to sit on. After that, you can do a design of any type of handle. I've roughly sketched this model and then extruded this way to create our handle where you can grip it. And then the last step is to make these chamfered, so you can see how instead of being this flat, we have made it chamfered, so that the stamp area is minimized, so it's not as thick. It gives you a crisper detail. And I'm done for the rest of the stamps, as you can see. Okay, so now that you have a model like this, what you're going to do is you're going to click on it, and click on export. You're going to go to downloads, fishbone, and then you're going to open that file in whatever slicer you prefer. Okay, so you can see I have two filaments, generic PLA and generic TPU. Now right now it's printing in PLA, so if you slice, it will say that it's going to take 9 grams of filaments and 35 minutes to print, but everything's going to be PLA, which is not what we want. We want this to be printed in TPU, and then the handle to be printed in PLA. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this model. I'm going to cut it right about here, as you can see. I'm going to say 13 centimeters from the bottom, which is going to be our cut. I'm going to keep the orientation, and I'm going to perform a cut. As you can see, it's kind of has split our handle and the handle and the stamp itself. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this, right click it, and I'm going to center it, which is already centered. Now I'm going to right click on here and click on center. Okay, now I'm going to go to objects here. Okay, and then I'm going to click on here. Let's see what kind of, so let's name this handle. Let's name this stamp. Okay, and let's select TPU. So you can see 1 and 2. I want handle to be printed in PLA, which is going to be blue, and then stamp to be printed in TPU, which is going to be white. Okay, so again, let me center this. Now we have to just put it back together. And how do we do that? We need to merge these two objects. So I'm going to select handle and stamp. I'm going to right click and click on merge. Okay. And once they have merged, you have an assembly, as you can see here. Now I'm going to click on the handle, and I'm going to click on move. Instead of world coordinates, I'm going to do object coordinates, and I'm going to put in 13 millimeters, since that's where we cut. Okay, so now you can see it's aligned itself, and because it's a multi-material, you also have a purge tower. So I'm going to put this somewhere here. Now I don't want to print it stamped TPU down. I rather print it. So I'm just going to rotate it. You can see the red axis. So I'm just going to do 180. Perfect. So it's printed. Okay. Now, as you can see, these are quite a bit of overhang. So we need to enable supports in our case. So enable supports. And then, or I'm also going to do, because there's not a lot of surface area, I'm going to give a skirt and give an outer brim. It's going to help with the adhesion. Okay, so that's good. Now, this is the most important part. Use beam interlocking. So let me show you what it looks like without that to kind of understand what's going on. So let's go down. And you can see PLA ends on layer 88 and 89. It starts printing TPU. So there's a good chance once you're done printing, they will just fall apart because they don't like to stick to each other at this line. So now when you do beam interlocking, you'll see what it does. Let's go back to 88. You can see it's been printing both material with an interlocking fashion for a while before it turns to straight TPU, which in this case starts about 82 or 92, excuse me. So this is going to be our strength. It's going to bond the PLA and TPU in this interlocking fashion so that they don't fall apart. And then it's going to print. Okay? As you can see, this is what it's going to look like. Now, the other thing I want to do is I also want to iron the top surfaces to make it look pretty. And I'm going to do the top surface line width to be just 20. Or whatever is the smallest. So that it comes out nice. Okay. As you can see, make it 30. Okay. Now you can mess around with wall loops and gyroid. I'm going to change this grid to a gyroid to make it a little bit more structurally strong. So this is what it's going to look like. I have everything. I have a skirt, I have a brim, I have supports, and I have beam interlocking so that they don't fall apart. Now, it's going to change the filament 9 times, take about 2 hours. We take about 24 grams of filament. Most of it is PLA, and then about 9 grams of TPU. So it should be a fairly quick print. Okay, I'm using a generic creality TPU 95A, and the PLA is going to be from my favorite company, Sunlu. It's just high speed PLA plus, and I'm gonna send this to the printer. Now I have a Bamboo Lab A1, and it's kind of hard to print TPU multi-material. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use my Snapmaker U1. Okay, so I'm gonna save this, close this out, and I've done the same thing in my Snapmaker Orca. As you can see, I've enabled supports, multi-material, I have beam interlocking, and I have a skirt loop, and I'm using a outer brim. Okay, top surface is going to be 0.2 millimeters, layer height is going to be 0.15, and then gyro at infill, and this is what it's going to look like. Okay, and I'm really excited because 9 changes. You can see it saves me 30 minutes. It's only going to take 1.5 hours. That's the beauty of a tool changer. So I'm going to send this to my U1. Now you can do extrusion flow calibration if this is the first time you're printing. I'm using this filaments for a while. I've been auto leveling. I don't want to auto level right now because it's a very small print. I really don't care. It's not a long surface, so you can save some time by not doing auto leveling. Okay, I'm gonna send it to the printer. And I'll see you guys in a little while to see what it looks like. So this is my U1 with a BQ top hat. Currently using my blue PLA from Sunlu in spool folder number 2. The TPU printing setup is I have a creality heater. I've already dried my TPU, and it's going in my spool holder number 3, and you can kind of see, just clean that little piece of TPU before it starts printing. I know you're not supposed to touch the plate. That's okay, it's not going to do anything. And then here it goes. Okay, and I'll see you guys once it starts printing. As you can see, it's printing the PLA at the bottom, which is gonna be our handle. Remember, we inverted or flipped it 180 degrees, so we're printing the PLA base. In this case, it's gonna be the handle, and it's also printing the support. So I'll show you, or at least try my best to show you when it starts to do the interlocking. So this is what the print looks like. The blue is PLA, the white is TPU. You can kind of see it doesn't break, at least not easily. So what we need to do is sand this. Put a piece of sanding paper, 180 fine. Just gonna give it a scrub real quick. I can't do this with one hand, so I'm gonna come back. Okay, so now I've sanded it a little bit, so let's try. You can see it comes up great. Let's try one more time. Crisp, crisp, crisp. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you try it.